Alrighty guys, welcome to our very first review packet video. My advice to watching this is to have already attempted every single problem on your own. And if you can't attempt the problem, you don't know what to do, you can obviously skip it and wait to hear me on that one. And maybe fast forward to the ones you don't need to hear about. In addition, some other good advice is if you don't understand what I said or didn't quite follow it, perhaps try to watch it one more time, see if you get it on the second go. And if that doesn't work, don't forget I always have my tutoring hours on Mondays and Thursdays after school and every day before school. Alright, so let's get going. So the first problem, that should be a freebie right here. Not even going to have to use the calculator to really do anything. Just got to remember your PEMDAS, that parentheses first. So 8 minus 5, that's going to be 3. And then multiplied by, and then 3 plus 7, that's going to be 10. Multiplied together, and it's going to give us a final answer of 30. Should be a nice and easy one. Please note, you could have kept the parentheses around these two numbers if you wanted. It wouldn't have mattered. It still would have gotten you a 30 answer in the end. Alright, number 2, which is true? Explain why. So it looks like every single one of these is actually multiplied exactly the same. So let's see which one of these is correct. Let's just go ahead and do it ourselves. I'm going to write it one more time off to the side because I can't quite see it. And they're all next to each other like that. It's just annoying my eyes. Alright, so don't forget there's an invisible 1 anytime there's not an exponent written. So the rule here is when you multiply like letters or like numbers, you add the exponents. So in this case, we have 3 multiplied all these times, so it's going to be 3 to the first, 3 to the second, 3 to the fifth, 1 plus 2 plus 5. That's going to give us 3 to the 8th. And then for the x's, it looks like we have x to the 4th and x to the 5th. That's going to add x to the 9th. So let's see which one of these is true. 3 to the 8th, okay, it could only be one of these two. 6 and 20. Oh, I guess the answer is none of these. I'm sorry, guys. I wrote the wrong thing. Trick question. That will not be an answer on one of the tests. The test is going to be on a computer, so that can't possibly be an answer. So the answer is none of these because that's the correct answer. You have to multiply the like terms. You add the exponents. That's your explanation why. So like letters, I'm going to write add exponents. Alright, easy enough. Next one. In the expression x squared plus 3x plus 5, what is the coefficient of x? So a coefficient, that means number in front of the variable, so that's really easy. Number in front of the letter, that's 3. Nice and simple. What is the coefficient of x squared? Well, it looks like there isn't a coefficient in front of x squared, but you have to remember if there's not a coefficient written, there's an invisible 1. So I gotta make sure we do that. That problem was easy enough. Given that beta equals 5, that's a capital beta by the way. Given that beta equals 5, what is 3 beta minus 2? This is our substitution idea. Easy peasy substitution. Replace that beta with a 5 because that's what it is. And then from here it's just PEMDAS. Parentheses, exponents, multiplications next. And the only thing left to do is subtract. Oh, I guess there's like 2 answers here on this one. Alright, let's go to the next page. Alright, number 5. Ooh, I didn't give you guys enough room for that one. I apologize. I'm supposed to be spacing these out better. Alright, so on the next one here, a is 2, b is 5, c is 6. What is abc squared? Again, you got to make sure you do the parentheses correct. So this is kind of a trick problem because a lot of students want to multiply all 3 together and then square at the end. But you actually want to do that first. So you want to plug in first. So a is 2. And you're making these parentheses. Get all those parentheses down before you plug in. So b is 5 and c is 6. So there's a, b, c all squared. And you've plugged that in. Remember, I only require you to do one step of work. So let me explain what I mean by one step of work on this question, because this is a problem where I'm going to want to use a calculator just as much as you. So we have 2 times 5 times 6 squared, parentheses exponents first. So we're going to go ahead and leave this as 2 times 5, and then now we have 36. You've done one step of work. You can actually plug the rest into the calculator for yourself. So 2 times 5 times 36, it is going to be 360. How did I do that so fast? Well, 2 times 5 is 10. Multiplied by 36, just add the 0 in there. But if you want to practice it, 2 times 5 times 36 still gives you 360. Nice. Please note, you could have actually typed in the original just to double check your work. It might have been nice to do that. So, exactly as it appears. Still gives you 360. Let's go to the next one. Simplify 1/3 6x plus 12 minus x minus 2. So first thing first, this is a distributive property question. So that means that this 1/3 is going here, the 1/3 is going here, this negative sign is going here, and that negative sign is going here. Honestly, this is the part where students make the mistakes most often. They forget to distribute the negative sign to both guys. So here, we have to multiply 1/3 multiplied by 6x. I'm going to go ahead and show all the work on this problem. Normally you don't need to show this much work, but I'm going to do it anyways. And then after that we have to subtract both of these. So subtract x, but minus a negative is adding 2, so be careful there. 1/3 times 6x. So how do I do that? Two ways you could do this. Remembering that fraction means division, so this really means 6 divided by 3, so it really means a 2x. Or you could have just used your calculator. As a reminder, how to create fractions in your calculator. You want to go ahead and do alpha, the green button, y equals, and then enter the bottom right hand corner here, and that creates the fraction for you. And you go 1/3, move your arrow over, times 6, and that'll give you 2 as well. Same idea here, 1/3 times 12 is 4. Nothing else happens here, minus x plus 2. And the reason I did that, by the way, is multiplication first, addition, subtraction second. And now we just have to add like terms. We have this guy is the only one with the x's, so 2x minus x is just a single x plus 6. All done. Using exponents in your answer, what is 10 squared times 10 to the negative 5 times 10 to the 10th? Idea here is, even though we have a negative exponent, we really haven't dealt with that so far. I haven't given you any of those like it. We still follow the same rules. When you multiply the same numbers or the same letters, you add the exponents. So 2 plus negative 5 plus 10. Again, if you need to use a calculator, do it. Don't forget. So 2 plus, and you have to do negative 5. You have to use that negative sign here at the bottom. Oops, almost didn't show you guys. So the negative sign here at the bottom. So 2 plus negative 5 plus 10. There you go. Nice little 10 to the 7th power. Going on to the next one. Simplify this guy. 3x squared plus 6x minus 5 minus x squared plus x minus 1. This is the same idea as kind of what I was giving you before. I'm just trying to make sure everyone remembers that this minus sign is distributed. I'm going to make you guys practice this over and over and over because it's such a common mistake. So let's do that. 3x squared plus 6x minus 5 minus x squared minus x minus a negative is plus 1. After that, we have to go ahead and add those like terms. So I'm doing a double underline on those x squareds, a single underline on the x's, no underlines on the others. 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. 6x minus x is plus 5x. Because remember, there's an invisible 1 there in front of both of those, in case you were wondering why. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. Simplify. More distributive property. Lots of distributive property on this test. It's because we do it a lot this year. So 4x goes to both of these. Negative 3y. This entire thing is going to both of these. You got to be really careful in this. 4x times 2x. That's going to be 8x squared. Remember, if you're doing an x multiplied by an x, it's going to give you x squared. 4 times 5 is 20, so negative 20 xy. Negative 3y times y is negative 3y squared. And negative 3 times 2x is negative 6xy. Or yx. xy and yx are the same thing. If you needed me to show more work than what I just did, instead of doing this, what you could have done is kind of taken it a step longer and done 4x times 2x minus 4x times negative 5y, plus, times, minus 4x times 5y, and so on and so forth. You could have done it on this guy as well. Negative 3 to this, negative 3 to that. But I personally think it's easier just to write it right away. I'll leave that up to you, though. Anyways, 8x squared and 3y squared, those are the only terms that have that, so you don't even have to add any liking. You just copy it. But there are equivalent letters here. So you have the negative 20xy and the negative 6xy. It's going to be negative 26xy. Simplify. Going back to our PEMDAS idea. So this is actually a problem you could plug completely into the calculator. So we're going to plug it into the calculator at the end to check our work, but we're going to do all of our work first. So doing all of our work first, we're going to do inside the parentheses first. So the only thing that's going to get done is this negative 3 plus 7, which is positive 4 all over 2. After that, we have to do exponents next. So 6 minus 16 divided by 2. You have to remember there's an invisible parentheses around the top here because a lot of students want to do 6 divided by 2, but it's actually going to do 6 minus 16 first. So negative 10 divided by 2. Finally, negative 5. Note how every single time I had a fraction, I kept on saying divide, divide, divide. It's a very useful practice to remind yourself that's division. But let's make sure we got the problem correct by using our calculator. So again, to use our calculator correctly on this problem, we want to go ahead and do alpha y equals enter, and that creates a fraction. Then type it in just as it appears. So 6 minus parenthesis. And we have to remember to use the small negative sign when we're going through this 3. So it's negative 3. So even though in the problem the negative signs are the same size, we have to know the difference when we use the calculator. Be careful. Again, the reasoning behind it is that the big negative sign is to subtract, and the small negative sign is to make a number negative. Anyways, end that parenthesis, square it. You can hit this button to square things right here, or you can use the arrow and then a squared afterwards. Scroll all the way down to the denominator and hit 2. Finally, we can just hit enter. And sure enough, our answer of negative 5 was correct. Let's go to the next page. This one right here is the hardest question I gave you on this packet, or at least it's the hardest question in my opinion. Definitely takes a lot of effort to go through step by step, but remember, I'm only requiring you to do one step of work. So let's do the one step of work, and after you've done one step of work, let's just use the calculator after that. So step 1, we need to go ahead and replace every single one of these with the correct letters. So you go parenthesis by parenthesis. So B here is negative 2, big parenthesis, and then we have another one, 7. B squared is negative 2 squared. So on and so forth. You got to be really careful on this problem. So now we're here. B is negative 2, and then we have a squared, 7 squared, plus. And now we have a parenthesis, and we have an a on the inside as 7. Another guy here, negative 2, all squared, parenthesis, 14. Another parenthesis is 7. And the parentheses, square it, boom, holy moly, so much stuff. You just got to be careful plugging it in. But once you've written that down, honestly, it's one step of work. And once you've done a single step of work, I will let you move on to using the calculator. So let's just copy this negative 2 and start moving here. We got some exponents to deal with. We have 7 we're going to leave alone, and multiply negative 2 squared is 4, minus negative 2, 7 squared is 49. You can leave it in parentheses if you want. Plus, inside of the parentheses first, negative 14, still squared. Inside of the parentheses first, 2, still squared. Again, what I did was 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. And here I did 14 divided by 7 to get 2. But you know what? I've done one step of work, and I am done doing my math problem. I want to go ahead and just do the rest in the calculator. So that's what I'm going to do. Just typing in negative 2. Multiplied by, or you don't have to do multiply, you just do parentheses right next to it, and then I have 7 times 4. So I did something a little bit different here. Here I did 7 multiplied by 4, and I wrote it this way. And over here, I did it with parentheses. I'm just trying to show you guys that those are the same thing. It doesn't really matter how you write it. Minus negative 2, 49, plus negative 14 squared, 2 squared, end the parenthesis, and hit enter. And holy moly, negative 1820 it looks like. If you were in my class the other day, we actually did the entire thing. A couple of classes asked for me to do it. We did all the work without a calculator. Still got the same answer, but why do all that work on the test if you can just use the calculator after a single step of work? However, honestly, the hardest part, in my opinion, is making sure you've put all your parentheses in the right spot. Because if you make a single error in your writing your parentheses, the calculator is going to give you the wrong answer. So you have to be very, very careful checking, did I plug every single thing in correctly? Take your time. Don't go too fast. So it says simplify. You might be able to do this in your head. Remember to show one step of work, just trying to do it. How could you do it in your head? Well, 3 minus 9, that's negative 6. Absolute value, positive 6 times 2, 12. Easy enough, but let's show all the work. 3 minus 9 is negative 6. Remember, an absolute value turns all negative numbers into positives. And then after that, 2 times 6 is 12. If you needed help plugging this into the calculator, there is an absolute value button on the calculator. Let's find it. So you type in 2 first, because that's the first number. And then we need absolute value of 3 minus 9. Absolute value is under the math button. So we're going to hit math. Scroll over to num. Absolute value is your first option. ABS. Then we just type in 3 minus 9. And sure enough, it is positive 12, just like we said. Simplify. This is yet another question where after one step of work, I recommend using the calculator. So we have negative. Do not forget that negative. 2 minus 8 on the inside of that, that's going to be negative 6 plus, and this is negative 6 cubed. And then on the bottom here, we have positive 6 in the absolute value, plus 8 minus 2 is 6 cubed again. These are similar problems. Now, I'm plugging this into the calculator, but I actually don't want to do too much on the calculator if I don't have to, especially the absolute values. We just did that. It takes a while to plug those in. So let's actually do one more step so we have less things to plug into the calculator. Specifically, we're going to make it negative, and we're going to type in positive 6 plus negative 6 cubed over positive 6 plus 6 cubed. There. And that's going to be less work to type in once we've dealt with the absolute value. So we made that negative 6 into positive. We left that positive alone. Let's type it all in. Negative. This makes something negative, so we type in the small negative sign. And then we have alpha, y equals, enter, gives you the fraction. We have 6 plus, parenthesis, negative 6 to the third power. So to the third power, you need that button again, this little arrow. And then 6 plus 6 to the third power. And it looks like it's some ugly fraction. 35 over 37. Obnoxious. That's actually all you could do. You could leave it as a fraction. If you would like to, you are also allowed to leave it as a decimal, rounded to 3 decimal places. However, I prefer this answer. But if you did use a decimal answer for it, we can do that. So to get the decimal answer, just type in 35 divided by 7 right here again. And that'll give you the decimal answer of 0.946 looks like. So again, I will accept that answer, but this is what's going to show up on the multiple choice version of the test, so you might as well just write that. Over here, simplify. 5 minus 2 plus 3. It looks like a very easy version of this number 13, so let's just do it. 5 minus 2 plus 3 plus, and then don't forget there are invisible parentheses around the top and bottom of this. We got to do that first. So we have 22 over 11. Then we have to do parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division is next. So 5 minus 2 plus 3 plus 2. And now we have to go left to right. Don't make the mistake of adding all this stuff up first and then doing 5 minus that. You must work left to right. So doing left to right, 5 minus 2 is going to be 3 plus 3 plus 2. So I did this part here first. And now that we have all addition, now we can just go ahead and add them all up. So we got 6 plus 2 is 8. Remember though, after one step of work, I could have just plugged it in the calculator at this step if I was lazy. You know, that's up to you, but I'm not even going to plug this in the calculator. It's easy enough. All right, we got one more here where you got to do a lot of different letters here. We got P's and Q's. You got to plug this stuff into the right side. So let's do P is equivalent to 9 plus Q is equivalent to 2 minus fraction bar. We got 2 times 9 plus, then Q is 2. And we got another Q and another Q plus, and it looks like, I made it. See, this is what happens if you go too fast. I actually went too fast on this one. I wrote a plus sign here because I was going to the p squared, but I would have missed something. There's a p here, a q here. This entire fraction up next is actually minus the pp. So be careful. Make sure you're really careful doing these problems. And then p is 9. And this guy is 9 plus, looks like 9 squared. Now, quick note. If you were like being a little bit smart about this problem before we even started it, what you could realize is that pp is p squared, and negative p squared plus positive p squared is 0. In fact, this part right here is negative 89 plus positive 88, sorry, negative 81 plus positive 81. I can do math. So this is going to be 0 later when we do it, but I'm just going to leave it there for now in case you weren't hearing that. So we don't need these parentheses really anymore, so let's get rid of them. 9 plus 2 minus, and then 2 times 9 is 18 plus 2 divided by 4. Remember, I took care of that top. There's an invisible parentheses in the top and bottom. I didn't even write it this time. And again, this is going to be minus 81 plus 81, so you don't have to really write it, but no, whatever. 9 plus 2 minus 20 divided by 4. Minus 81 plus 81 if it makes you happy. Then working left to right, don't forget this is 5 because of division. So that's going to be 9 plus 2 is 11, minus 5 is 6. Feel free to use a calculator after one of those steps, though. I just chose not to. I think that is the end of the packet. It sure is. Good luck on your tests or quiz when it comes up next. I don't know when it's going to be exactly. It might be Thursday or Friday this week, maybe the week after. We'll see how it goes in class, but good luck either way. Thanks for watching.